Appreciate your attendance and your interest in all of this. We'll get to the important stuff right away. The bathrooms are across the hall right there. Second item, please silence your cell phones, and please remember this is a house of worship. I'd like to introduce Julie Thomas, and she will introduce some others. So if we have your attention, please.
Good evening, everybody. I took it off the stand because I'm afraid that some of these guys might want to be rock stars someday, so we'll just take that away from them right now. So thanks so much for coming to the meeting tonight to talk about the Henry's Creek Fire. I am one of the public information officers on Great Basin Team 7, and my cohort is Rhonda Bishop. The two of us have been doing our best to get information out via InstaWeb and Facebook, so we're the ones that are doing that. What we're going to do tonight is a couple of things. We're going to talk to you about the fire, talk to you a little bit about the beginning days of the fire, and then we're going to talk to you a little bit about the strategy and what's happening out on the ground right now, and what Team 7 is doing to suppress the fire. So what I'm going to ask you all to do, and I know it's hard, but we're going to try, is hold your questions till the end, let everybody get through, and then we'll open it up, and we will not leave this building until you've all had your questions answered. Fair? Is everybody good with that? All right. There's a couple of folks that I would like to recognize. Your county commissioners, Dave Radford and Roger Christensen, and I want you all to know that they have been a part of this fire since day one, representing all of you. They've been at all of our briefings and making sure that your interests are represented. So with that, what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce Mary Diaberza. She is the district manager for the Idaho Falls District BLM. And she's going to give you some information from the BLM about the beginning of the fire.
Welcome, and thank all you guys for coming. My name is Mary Diaberza. I'm the district manager for the Idaho Falls District Bureau of Land Management. A lot of people here I have not had the opportunity to meet yet, and realize that today actually marks my first year anniversary of actually having the privilege of working for the BLM here in East Idaho. This forum basically is intended to provide an opportunity just for questions, dialogue, concerns, that sort of thing. First off, I'd like to thank the community as well as our partners in their efforts to suppress this wildfire. Our unified command came together pretty smoothly and has made for some pretty effective firefighting efforts. Obviously, in the early days of the fire, the weather was not especially cooperative. As I'm sure most of you were able to notice and be involved in and unfortunately affected by. In terms of a little bit of background, the Henry's Creek Fire was reported near the Taylor Mountain Road on Sunday, the 21st of August. The Idaho Falls Fire Department responded and then later requested assistance from the BLM. By late Monday, it became pretty apparent that the extreme fire behavior, in combination with the number of resources we had, necessitated requesting a Type 2 incident management team. That team was ordered Tuesday morning, and it basically took control of the fire last night, so Wednesday evening. In terms of statistics, as of last night, the fire was approximately 51,000 acres and is roughly 20% contained. And that information may be updated over the course of this briefing as well. The three agencies continue to provide support to the team within our respective fields of expertise and resources and jurisdiction, and continue to provide for both firefighter and public safety. Would really like to extend, sorry, I don't want to trip over the cord and fall in front of you guys, that might be a bit embarrassing. I'd really like to extend my appreciation to the Bonneville County Sheriff's Department. They have done an amazing job working with private citizens within the closure areas to ensure that they have an avenue for protecting and trying to move assets, livestock, whatnot, as necessary and as safety permits. Our local fire departments have worked tirelessly to ensure structure protection for the residential structures located in the fire area, And at this point, I would like to turn the mic over to Jill Gosweiler, who's going to provide some additional information regarding fire operations during that initial attack period.
Thank you, Mary. Again, my name is Joel Gosweiler. I'm the Fire Management Officer for Idaho Falls District BLM. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I guess I want to start out with that piece of ground where this fire started. I've been in this area for quite a few years now. I've been on a lot of good fire in this country that has humbled me immensely. Our fires on dry seasons like this can get up and move pretty quickly, and we train a lot, we prepare for it. And we've had some incidences on that hillside by Sunnyside and the Bone Road in the past where we've had some pretty problematic fires over the last 10 to 15 years. I think the first big one was around 2000 that I can think back to. Over the course of the years, we've really tried to come to grips with that piece of ground so that we're all working better on the ground to make sure we put fires out in that country. Because basically it's unprotected lands for a large area around there where nobody has jurisdiction for putting out fires in that area. In the state of Idaho, who has jurisdiction then over such lands? The county sheriff. County sheriff for public safety. So what we started years ago is we started an agreement with the county sheriff and the fire departments there with ourselves through all of our mutual aid agreements, so that if we had a fire there, the sheriff can request us and we all come out there together with the intention of putting that fire out with aggressive early response with a lot of resources so that we can get on these fires before they get too big. And as things have worked over the years, we've done a lot of training scenarios together, and we've been building more and more of a strong bond and relationship between our agencies so that it would be seamless when this happened. And over the years, we've gotten a lot better at it, and unfortunately this one was one where the weather beat us. And I guess to back up with, I don't know how long it's been, but I'd say it's been over 60 days probably since we've had over 1/10 of an inch of rain in most of our district. It's getting to be pretty darn dry, so conditions have been challenging. We've been able to pick up most of our other initial attacks this summer from across Idaho Falls District, working with our cooperators pretty successfully by sending aggressive response early. This was one similar to our last fire that we had down on Fort Hall, where we were just about to catch the fire and we had a cold front come through the next morning. And one little spot across the line and 30-mile-an-hour winds, and away it goes. So I think that's a little bit of what's humbling about these is afterwards, when something big and rare and historic like this happens, there's going to be a lot of finger pointing, a lot of what ifs, and why didn't we do this and why didn't we do that? And in my mind, I'd like to celebrate the victory of, number one, a lot of agencies came together, and number two, nobody got hurt. With that much chaos with a fire running over 20 miles in a day spread out across that much country, it speaks volumes to all of our cross-training that we've done, sharing with our radio kits so that our different agencies can talk to each other. It really shows well that things went well. But essentially what happened on that first night, Sunday, is it was pretty windy that evening. High temperatures, low humidity. We call it a Haynes index, which measures the stability of the atmosphere. It's a 6. That's as high as it goes for unstableness, which basically means once a fire starts, it has great potential to grow. All of our resources work together in unified command between the Sheriff's Office, our agency, and Bonneville County, who pulled in mutual aid from all over Southeast Idaho, basically that next night. But the first night, ourselves and Bonneville County and Shelley and Firth out of Bingham County basically all worked to corral the fire down near Henry's Creek, moving up towards Black Hawk subdivision. And we got close pretty much that first night to catching it early. And we had some resources on it late that night. And our biggest fear that first night is, as you've probably known if you've been around here a long time, is we have real strong nighttime winds that push off that hill down into town. We've had some significant fires come down into town from there before. So that was our primary goal, was to keep it up and out of town. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, we didn't have those downslope winds. It stayed strong out of the southwest and kept pushing it to the northeast late into the night. We had low humidity recoveries and high winds, so that fire stayed active way late into the night. If you've noticed, the last couple nights we've gotten pretty cold with higher humidities. The fires laid down at night, so that's helped us a lot. The first 2-3 nights it did not. So that first night, things went pretty well. We were able to keep it out of life and homes, which is our #1 priority. of town. We made a pretty good chance of catching it. There was a little bit that got south of Henry's Creek drainage, and I don't know if you know that country very well, but it's pretty steep, rocky, and tight to where we were really slow going on our resources to catch it. They were just about to tie it off that morning when the winds hit. We had a red flag for high winds that day, and I think y'all remember on Monday what those winds were like. We were solid 20 mile an hour plus, gusting over 30 miles an hour all that day, and that thing took off. Historically, we've had 2 or 3 good opportunities to be able to kick that fire up off of either Bone Road and Sunnyside Road, and then the plan B was that if we could fall back into the reservoir in Willow Creek as a worst case scenario, that would hold it up for a while our resources could catch up to it. So we thought that we were okay with that as a plan B, and we were making pretty good progress. And then that evening, that fire ran and jumped over. We were holding Bone Road for quite a while, trying to fire out off of it. It jumped that road, jumped Sunnyside, ran to Blacktail about dark, and we were like, okay, maybe things will hold up. And then it ran past Blacktail all the way up to Meadow Creek Road by late that evening. It was very active until well after midnight. I don't have the exact mileage, but I would say roughly a 17 mile an hour mile run that day, which is very significant. We haven't had that in that country before. So pretty much at that point, we more than we can handle. We're going to be able to get around this fire. We always have. We've gotten around a lot of big fires in this country. Jefferson Fire out on the desert made over a 40-mile run in one day. We were able to pick it up the next day at 100,000 acres. So we're like, we might be able to catch up to this. There's a lot of farmers out there with discs. There's people all over the place. We might be able to get around this thing. We'll see what happens tonight. When I woke up at 6 o'clock that next morning and looked on the hill, it was pretty apparent that we needed to order a team. So we pulled the trigger right away and ordered Team 7 with Tony as the IC. It takes a little while to get a team here because they're all from all around the Great Basin. That's Nevada, Utah, and Idaho, southern Idaho. So they came that day. We had briefed late that evening. It's not very safe to hand over a fire to a new group that doesn't know the country they're getting into at 6 the next morning. So they shadowed and worked with us yesterday. And we had pretty good success yesterday. And then I don't know if we all noticed the thunder cell that came over yesterday afternoon about 5 o'clock, and it blew it out pretty hard, made about an 8,000 acre run, which is where you notice ran to here. Wind switched out of the northwest yesterday, and we had a big push back to the southeast. So it got away from us pretty well, and at that point last night, we handed it over to Team 7 to Tony, and we still have a lot of resources out there helping them out, just to make sure that we get around this thing. But we also have to bring some of our resources back as we have lightning in the forecast, and we need to be ready for the next fires. So that's kind of a quick synopsis of overall how the first couple of days went, and I'll be available for questions afterwards.
Thank you, Joel. Now I'd like to introduce Tony DeMasters. Tony is the incident commander for Team 7 that has been brought in to help manage and suppress the fire.
Great. Good evening, everybody. Again, like Judy said, my name is Tony DeMasters. I'm the incident commander for Great Basin Team 7. Just a little bit about myself. I'm from Boise, Idaho. Like Joel was mentioning, my command general staff were from Nevada, Idaho, Utah, and parts of just a small corner of Wyoming. And so we come with a staff of about 44 personnel with the incident management team, and with that sub-staff of 44, we have specialized individuals with a public information officer like Julie and Rhonda. We come with prepared with operations folks that are very tactically and very strategically qualified to take a look at an incident and figure out what we need to do, what kind of resources we need to have, and where we're going to deploy these resources. First and foremost is safely, where we're going to put these folks and how we can contain a fire as quickly as possible. We have folks that work in logistics, we have folks that work in finance, and we have folks that work in many sections of our incident management team. And so that's just kind of a real brief overview of what an incident management team is consisted of. Now, another reason why an incident management team is ordered is because Joel's capability as a fire management unit has only a capability of a certain amount between dozers, engines, hand crews, helicopters. But when you order an incident management team, we come with we come with horsepower. And that horsepower comes with, we have extra hotshot crews, we have extra engines, we have extra helicopters that is available to us from a regional level. And so we come with all these extra toys, these resources to help work with Joel's Type 3 organization and work side by side to try to do a seamless transition to pick right up where that smaller organization started and where we could pick up and continue chasing this thing, chasing the flanks the safest and most efficiently as possible. And so, again, that's just kind of a real brief synopsis of what an incident management team is and what we've done to this point with Joel's fire management unit. Also, too, just recognizing where we're at seasonality, fire behavior, and how fast this thing has grown. I've been all over the Great Basin, and the dryness, the conditions that are out there across the landscape, it's remarkable. We're setting historic records in the sense that a lot of these fuel conditions in the larger timber and things like that, they're drier than dry killed lumber that you would buy at the hardware store. And so with that, meaning that, with the spotting, as embers go in the air, they catch the wind and they land in a receptive fuel bed. The spotting has also been a challenge for this, and that's probably one of the reasons why this thing ran 17 miles in such a short period of time, because it was spotted between a quarter and a half a mile out in front of itself. And so trying to keep up with those types of things, it's next to impossible. So a couple things have to change, is either the weather, the sun has to go down, or it has to hit a topography break in order for this fire to slow up. And that's kind of what it did that first couple of days. And as you saw yesterday afternoon, we had that cold front and that thunderstorm kind of park over the top of us. And that's where we got that northwest wind. And that's what really pushed it, that additional 8,000 acres, which pushed it about 3 to 5 miles in just a very, very short period of time. And so again, we try to put one foot in the black and try to chase that edge as best and as safe as possible, because we don't want to get out in front of it. That's the last place that anybody wants to be. And so that's kind of where we're at this point. So now what I'd like to do is just talk real briefly as far as our objectives. And Joel touched on a couple of them. And first and foremost, the objective of this fire is, one, keeping the public, keeping the fire off private lands, and obviously keeping firefighters' safety. That's our #1 priority that we always try to do. And we have succeeded. That's a success in itself right there. With over 350 personnel that we have on the incident right now, and with all the cooperation between the private landowners, with the farmers, and with all the federal agencies, the state agencies, all the cooperation that we've had across the board is a very remarkable success. And so I take my hat off to the Type 3 organization that first started this with the BLM and the state. They did an outstanding job to secure this piece right here. This is all the local unit. And so now the incident management team, we're trying to pick up the pieces here and start chasing the head and start pinching it off. And so I definitely want to take my hats off to all the cooperation between the Sheriff's Department, all the local farmers and stuff that were out there with their disc, as well as with Joel's local unit here. They did an outstanding job. And so with that, a couple other objectives I'd like to touch on is that big game habitat. It's also a natural resource concern that we're going to try to pinch this thing off. It's a full suppression fire, meaning that we're going to try to keep this thing, we're going to try to keep the footprint as small as possible with providing firefighter safety. Okay. And so another reason, a natural resource concern is the sharp-tailed grouse. It's got habitat out here. But also, too, we got infrastructure. We got homes, we got structures, we got other sorts of infrastructure, power lines. So there's many, many things that we're going to be focused on as we go on through the next few short days. It is going to be high on our radar. We're going to make sure that we all have this successful accomplishment by the time we wrap this thing up in a few days. So with that, I'm going to take a quick pause, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions here in short order. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Tom Schultz. I'm the Operations Section Chief with Tony Masters Team 7, and I'm here trying to help out and pick up the pieces where the local unit left off, and I would echo what Tony said. The local Type 3 organization, all the farmers, ranchers out there working together, outstanding job. You really set us up for success on this incident, and I'm proud to pick up where you left off and try to finish it up for you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what is actually happening on the ground right now. the resources we've got on the fire, and progress up to date. So if anybody's had a chance to look at our map, we've got the fire broke into what we call divisions, which are just basically segments of ground, help us organize our resources and design plans at a smaller scale as well. Right now, we've got Division Alpha and what we're calling Whiskey around the bottom here. Right now, Alpha's being patrolled just with a couple of fire engines, looking for anything that might pop up, having a presence out there to respond if anything flares back up out there. And so far, so good. Nothing's acted up out there today. Had some good winds off and on it today and yesterday, and it's been holding tight for us. So that's looking really good. Around the bottom down here in the south end, we're calling Division Whiskey. We've got a few aspen stands out there intermixed with the sagebrush, and they're holding some heat. We've got a couple of 20-person hand crews and a few fire engines in this area. They're mopping up, they're grubbing, digging the dirt, and squirting water, putting out those hot spots that are within a threat to the line, the area we want to keep the fire contained in. Things are going good for them out there. We'll probably have at least another day's of work in that area in Division Whiskey. Moving around, Division Romeo. Division Romeo, part of Romeo is what took off yesterday, made a big push up Texas Canyon, Tex Creek. The lower end of Romeo is looking really good. It's in kind of that patrol status too, with a few engines. Just watching that and making sure nothing flares up behind our firefighters. Moving out further out of Tex Canyon, in an area we're calling Dave's Mountain. Up on Dave's Mountain, we're pushing the dozer line right now. We've got a hotshot crew in there supporting that dozer line, and a few engines working in conjunction, doing what we call direct tactics, getting as close to the fire edge as we can, putting that line in, minimizing the fuel between the fire line and the fire itself, and trying to cut it off, working up towards Dave Mountain, so they cross Tex Creek and working up the other side. Coming back around from the top here, Division Delta. Division Delta, the same story there. We've got about 6 fire engines in there with the division supervisor. They're monitoring this country, and there's a lot of those aspen stands in there too that are holding some heat. So throughout the day, especially as the sun angle changes in those stands of trees, smokes are popping up in there. So they're patrolling that area, and as the smokes pop up, they're getting in there, squirting water on them, grubbing them up, and trying to put them out to hold that line. And there'll be a few more days worth of work in there for sure. And then in Division Mike, which was up in Indian Fork Creek. And Indian Fork Creek was another part of that run from yesterday. They're doing very similar tactics as Division Romeo, going direct. We've got 4 20-person crews in there and a dozer, and they're working their way through some pretty steep and thick fuels in there, and they're making good progress today. Really good progress, being supported with aircraft. The Type 1, the large helicopters dropping water in conjunction with the crews, and they're really making good progress in there. So and they're working up towards that Dave's Mountain as well. That's where we're really hoping to tie in. We're going to continue to work towards that tomorrow. With tomorrow's actions, we're going to pick right up where we're leaving off today. And we have one change in tomorrow's plan, and that's wind direction is supposed to change on us. So for today, we are continuing with more of a northwest type flow aloft, and fire spread was pushing that way. Tomorrow we're supposed to be back into that southwest flow, and which this whole flank, which we're working so hard on trying to secure today, wind will be blowing across that line tomorrow. So we're really focusing on that today, and we'll be focusing on that again tomorrow to really try and button that up and keep it from moving in those areas. So I'll be around after we're done here. If there's questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, last but not least, so I have to tell you just a little story. We've been on, I believe this is our third fire for the team this summer. And we've had a lot of cooperation from a lot of folks that we've worked with out on our assignments. But this assignment has been a little special. You have an incredible sheriff's department that has been out contacting you and working with you and making sure that you're safe. And what I'd like to do now is introduce the county sheriff to come up and just give you a few words about some of the things that his department is doing out there on your behalf.
Hi, I'm Paul Wild. I'm the sheriff of Bonneville County. So I want you guys to know that we're thinking maybe 50 people. This tells me that this community cares. So thank you for being here to start out with. I'd also like to thank everybody that's been working so hard. There's been guys out as long and as hard as any of us in the community doing the work, getting those discs out there, being out there in the middle of the night with us. We appreciate that. We appreciate your cooperation. I understand your frustrations. So I want to thank everybody for that cooperation as we had to hold people at roadblocks and keep people away from their property, keep people away from their livelihood. We understand your frustrations, but we're trying our best to make sure everybody's safe and make sure we're getting the job done. So all in all, you look at all the partners that were in here. You have to forgive me a bit. I think the smoke's getting in my lungs. I don't know. I can't keep my voice. But I've got to thank the fire crews. So I get all the responsibility for this fire because where it is with none of the resources. But those resources came. So BLM and Idaho Falls Fire, Chief Coffee here, brought his crews, came in, got a lot of stuff done, brought all kinds of other fire crews from Shelley Firth and Central, worked their tails off with all the guys in the disc over here on Meadow Creek. Lots of good, hard work going on all the time. This weather beat us hard, and trying to keep everybody safe and keep everything running was difficult. So I want you to know that this has not been an easy task for any of these guys, but we appreciate all the fire crews that have come in. BLM came in and worked their tails off trying to get this stuff down. But all in all, I think things are looking up. Weather's looking up for us, things are looking up. I'm feeling pretty good. So these guys came in, gave us some real positive stuff this morning, and they're doing exactly what they said they were going to do. Things are looking good. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we thank you for all your cooperation and all your help. A little background on what we've been doing. We've done evacuations. I know Birch Creek and Meadow Creek area, thank you guys. We only evacuated you twice, but we'll try not to do that too much more often. If these guys get this thing corralled, we'll be in pretty good shape. But, you know, those are, when we come to the door, I know that's tough, guys. I know that's a scary quarter, but your cooperation made that stuff go a lot faster. We've been working on property protection. The guys have been helping fire lines and keeping things going. We're doing fire area security, so we try to, unfortunately, we're trying to keep you out, to keep everybody safe. But as soon as we can get you in there, we've been getting you in there. I saw a lot of guys up there today as we were going around, went up with the liaisons and checked the area and just saw how much work was being done. A lot of guys in there getting cattle out and sheep moving and stuff like that. So the other thing that we've been doing a lot of is public information. I want to introduce Brian Lovell, wherever he went. Brian over here. Brian Lovell, a lot of you guys have been talking directly to him. He's the one that's been helping me get through. We've got a lot of good guys doing a lot of good work trying to make sure you guys are getting your information. A lot of that stuff's been going out on news releases, Facebook, links to the Facebooks. I don't think, Brian, I can't believe that his phone still works because he's on it constantly. He's been trying to talk to guys, trying to answer those questions. Dispatch has been inundated, but go to these websites that we're putting out. Take a look at them. You'll get a lot of good information from that stuff. We use the code red system. Hopefully that'll go out. If you're not getting those code red calls and information, I would like you to go onto the Bonneville County website and sign up on Code Red. That helps us get information to you. We're not going to get it to you if you don't have cell coverage back there in the back country, but a lot of times you will get that when you get to a high spot or whatever. I was amazed at what cell coverage we're getting today, so try and get onto that and get that Code Red signed up, and we can get that information to you. When we get all done here, I'm going to be asking you guys, what can we do better? We want to make sure that we're doing the right thing. This is your sheriff's office. We work for you, so we want to do what we can to make sure you're getting the best service, because that's what we do, is service to this community. So as we get through this, we'll find out what we can do better, try to get that feedback from you guys. I've been at this for a few years. I have never seen a fire like this. We've had many of these fires in that same, very same area that this started. Always been able to knock that down, take care of it. The fire guys do an exceptional job. But this one had everything right for a run, and it ran on us and ran hard, and it's still fighting us. So bear with us. Keep your cooperation going. Remember, we understand your frustration, but we're here for you, and we'll keep things going, okay?
All right, I'm going to have everybody stand up that spoke here tonight, because I'm putting them on the hot seat. Okay, like that. All right, this is a really big room, so we're going to do our best to take your questions. Those way at the back might have to kind of slide up the side if they have something that they want to ask. And we'll do our darndest to answer your questions. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start on this side of the room, and I'm going to come to this side of the room. And then we'll go back. So everybody's going to get their question answered. You just got to be patient. And I know that's hard, but we're going to try it. Okay? Is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. All right, I'm going to give this to you.
It's a big responsibility.
So anybody in this section right here have a question? So,
Any personnel been injured on this, right?
I heard personnel injured on this. No major injuries. One bee sting today by somebody that was allergic to bees. So it was a big deal to them, absolutely. But no injuries.
My name's Bob Hoff. The fire started adjacent to our place. We were up there probably beat everybody else with a disc manufacturer. My son was there first, and a few minutes later I followed. True to form, this thing died just as I needed it. And so I sent my son back to get a cell phone for him, because communication is important out there between the two deaths. We were stopped quite brutally by even my son identifying myself as his Baba's son. The officer was very curt, not even polite, asked him to leave. I needed that cell phone really bad because James was already up there. He could have told me where to go. I wasted 45 minutes taking the wrong route because of that officer. We need communication. We need cooperation from our county and our officers. You've got a lot of great officers out there. Sheriff Wild, I appreciate that. They're a great crew. But there are a few, I think, that take it a little bit, a little important. And it was very frustrating for me not to have that cell phone. It made it very difficult for me to communicate with James and coordinate that disking. That really disking saved this whole, from this point to Bone Road, was all farmer disc. Two other farmers came and we held that line there entirely with disc. A little brief section was there with the bulldozer. That evening, this thing was confined to right there. It died down. It would have been easy to take a small crew in there by hand, because it's rocky ground where we couldn't get the disc, and that's where the fair would have ended if they had stayed with it that evening. We have been fighting fire here at least once a year for 30 years. and I'm continually frustrated with the delay of the BLM. They come up and watch. I tell them to go home and send the Girl Scouts in because we could use them. They have tremendous resources, lots of men, lots of shovels, and yet they mostly watch. And I'm just so frustrated. I apologize if I'm rude, but there's so much damage done, there's so much expense made, and it's wasted. I have some suggestions that the county communicate and cooperate with the farmers that get their desk. It would be very nice if they communicated with us. We put a fire line in, and we watch behind us. We know that fire is going to hit it, and it's going to jump it. And if they just follow and help us pick those spots out, we stop the fire line. Too many times I put a fire line and turn around, it's been jumped. And there's agents, or there's resources back there that could have stopped it with a shovel. So I think cooperation with us farmers is paramount to put these fires out. We don't mind doing it. And it's hard on our tractors. We always cut tires, and bend tongues, and break discs. We'll do it. We don't care. We want to save resource. We want to save the land and the homes. But we do need a little cooperation, a little appreciation for that. And sometimes we're treated by the agencies like we shouldn't even be there. And so that's my complaint. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Roy Taylor. I live up on East Birch Creek Road. And I've been involved in this fire since it started Sunday because my sister-in-law lives in Black Hawk Estates. So I've been playing for this thing the whole time. First of all, I just want to thank everybody because I do live on East Birch Creek. I know you guys helped out. But even more than that, my neighbors. What an incredible group of people you are. On Monday night, I moved my cattle and my horses out at 3 o'clock in the morning. I called friends from Ririe. They came up, we moved them out because I wasn't sure what was going to happen based on the misinformation I was getting from the sheriff's department. Not a big deal because I never saw a fire like that move that quick either. So I knew we were in trouble, but all the neighbors were up there with discs. I don't know how many tractors drove by my house, but they were all out there. When I got back the next morning, Tuesday morning, and saw what took place, the fire stopped at the fire line that was disked. We had an opportunity at that point to put it out, I believe, but we missed an opportunity on Tuesday. We continue to get misinformation. I don't know who's reporting and how the information goes from the sheriff's department to the guys knocking on the doors, but the information is not accurate at all. I drove every day and have every day driven into that fire zone, and the information that was going back to our homes telling us we had 45 minutes to evacuate. I know the timeline doesn't mean anything, but the fire never broke that fire line that was disked in at Meadow Creek that night. So I'm not sure why the misinformation is getting to the community. A lot of people were nervous. A lot of people just left. I stayed after I got my animals out because I saw the fire and the information getting out to us is not accurate, and that needs to be fixed.
All right, I'm moving to my right.
I'm a little nervous, but I just want to give a big appreciation to all the neighbors that came up home. My family's part of the Meadow Creek Ranch, and it was special. We had people on foot, we had disc tractors. We had one bulldozer there, and that was ours. Till a friend showed up, drone bowling, and he almost didn't get through because they told him to switch. And I watched 3 semis with bulldozers load on them, sit and watch me play in the fire. And then all of a sudden turn and run off. And then I watched a big Amlin tanker come up there. Could have put the fire out. We had it pretty well corralled in Deep Creek. And 3 people sat in there and enjoyed the air conditioner. Another BLM parked pickups enjoyed my uncle's summer follow where they were safe. So I just want to say thank you. I know you got some good people, and I know you do, but I just feel it was very, very ill managed. There was no one there Monday night except for the community.
Hi. I know it's tough to predict where this fire is going to go. I'm kind of on the upper end of Antelope Flats, just above Kona Valley. So, give me your best guess, or do you think you got a pretty good shot at corralling it, or I guess I'm just I'm a little nervous about where it's going to go. You think it's going to jump into Fall Creek, or what's your guess here?
Okay, I got a landmark that I recognize there. I'm sorry, I'm from Salmon, Idaho. So I understand Fall Creek in that area. Right now, I think we have a pretty decent chance to catch it with little more growth. We're starting to get some resources in, the type of resources that we really need. The specialized offshore hand crews, and we're starting to get those in place and get lines that are holding in those heavy refuels. So I hate to predict the probability, and I think a lot of people have had this fire caught before, and that it's gotten away. So I wouldn't make a prediction there, but I'm feeling optimistic about the work that's done to date. And we still have some work ahead of us. We've got at least 2 miles of line to construct out ahead of this thing in that Basin Mountain area. So we still got some hard work to do, and I think the stuff that we've done before, we've got a good chance to hold on to it.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
I wanted to back up a second because there's something very important I wanted to bring up about private landowners, ranchers, and farmers. I've worked with you on a lot of fires over the years in this area, and we've done a lot of good work. A lot of times in that country, the disc is the best tool there is, period. We can put in a lot of line quickly. And one of the things that we really want to do, and as we move forward, is the concern that we have for our folks. And first of all, I want to remind people that I'm your neighbor. I work with your sons and your daughters. We're part of the community. I've been here for most of my life, so I'm part of you, and we want to work with you. The challenge has been from a federal agency working is having qualified, trained people out there to make sure that everybody's safe, everybody's communicating together, and everybody comes home at the end of the day. That's our #1 priority. And so there's been a little bit of consternation in the past of, generally speaking, people are going to say, no, we would love to use you, but we can't because we don't want to get you hurt, and we want to make sure everybody's working well together. So I want to take this opportunity to make a plug of how we fix that. Because one of the ways that we can fix all the red tape and all the policy behind things to make sure we're all working well together is something that we've been doing in Idaho now for a few years, and that's Rangeland Fire Protection Associations. And we got our first one in southeast Idaho just this year up in Clark County. What they do is a group of individuals like yourself in an area get together, form a nonprofit, form a group. You get the training, we work with you, we get you radios through IDL. We can all work together so that we're all on the same page. That way, when the fire happens, we're all ready and we're all talking to each other. So if you want to do it, we'll support you all the way, and that's how we fix that problem. Because I'd love to have you out there every single time, but my #1 mission is I make sure that your daughters, your sons, they come home every night. That's what I care about. I lose a lot of sleep. So when you see our folks sitting around, I have some rules. We have rules in our agency. 3 days in a row of chasing a fire like that, you're going to get somebody killed if you keep them working all the time. They got to get sleep. They got to catch up. They got to take naps. They got to get 4 to 6 hours rest a night. I have a policy that says I can't work over 16 hours a day consecutively. I blessed the crews that first night. They went 22 hours straight. They got 2 hours of rest and they were right back at it. That next night, I gotta bed them down. I gotta get them sleeping. Because after 2 days of working like that with no sleep, all that moving metal, somebody's gonna get hurt. But I really want to talk that RFPA because that's the solution. That's what's going to end some of the frustration that we've had over the years. And I'm more than happy to do anything we can to help get that going. I'll be available later. So.
Hi everybody, I'm Jerry Slater. I got ground on West Birch Creek and on Middle Creek both. We got a neighbor called us at evacuation order. We got my tractor out in the sun on top side and start just getting a fire fence right behind our house, the farm. Well, I went to the other end, Todd and we had our neighbors down there protecting 1,000 acres of CRP that runs north would hit Birch Creek. You'd have never stopped until they got to the highway. I got to think, you know, all the neighbors, I can't name them all. If they was down there at 4 o'clock in the morning just getting fire fences to stop that fire, I never seen one BLM personnel. Central Fire was there helping and protecting the homes that didn't have the facility or the equipment to protect them. So I just want to thank all my neighbors. They really done a great job saving that 1,000 acres of CRP land, which would have run to Birch Creek and just burned on over to the highway. Thank you. I got one other thing. I had 200 acres over on the right at the rim of Meadow Creek. It wiped it. It's just a black lump of nothing right now. And thanks to neighbors for stopping in from going on over the road too. But anybody drives up by the Caldego and you see all them cedars burnt, those stems sticking up and that field just as black as it could be, is pretty sick.
I'm Darrell Gardner with Sundown Ranch. And Sundown Ranch is located just south of Bulls Fork. And I just got to thank these firefighters with all my heart because that fire got right down the Bulls Fork Road there and they stopped it. And it went the other way. And there was several of them, 2 fire engines up at our cabin there. Many of you will recognize that area as the Croft Ranch. And I know my father-in-law is sitting up there above, really sweating it out. But I just want to thank